Hi, I'm Detective Julia Chenoweth with the Crimes Against Persons Unit, and I'm here to talk to you today about some internet safety, particularly related to how we as adults can help our children and young adolescents on being safe while using the internet. Specifically, I want to be able to talk to you about cyberbullying, general internet safety, and grooming and predator type behavior. As we know, kids have a lot of access to internet these days, and that can be through their phone, it can be through their tablet, it can be through their computer. And while that can be convenient, it can also lead kids to be susceptible and vulnerable to things we might not want them to see. Some things that we can do as parents is be aware of what it is that our kids are using. It's not uncommon for a child to search one area. Before you know it, there are other sites that pop up that initially they might not have been intending to see. And then those can lead them to different sites that aren't appropriate for children and are not something we want our children to be seeing. One of the biggest things is to have open communication with your child. Talk to them about what it is that they're using the internet for, what are they looking at. But there's also the fact that sometimes our kids might not be totally straightforward with what we're looking. Online predators can be very sophisticated in what it is they're looking for. So one of the best ways to get around that is to have parental access to your child's internet and block different sites that you don't want your children to be looking at. This requires you to look at your child's sites frequently, and it's not something you just do once and consider it done. So you have to go back and look at their search history to see what they're looking. And again, there are parental functions that you can limit what it is that your children can look for. Some things that you can look for as a parent is if you see your child spending a lot of time on the internet and afterwards you see some changes in their affect, their demeanor, and their behavior. Oftentimes, predators will start what's called a grooming process, where they will send some very innocent messages, and those become more flirtatious, and then they become very sexually inappropriate. So being aware of what your child is looking at is huge. Having that conversation with your child about some red flags to look out for is also really important. It's not uncommon for kids to send selfies to their friends and to other people. That might start innocently enough when someone is grooming that child, but that can then develop into asking the child to send pictures of their intimate parts. And before you know it, all those pictures and images are available on the internet. Cyberbullying is another topic that comes up a lot with our children today. When we were young and growing up, we didn't have nearly the access that we do now to internet. Bullying still happened, but it tended to be limited to face-to-face interactions, whether that was at the playground or at school. But children were able to remove themselves from that situation. Once they left that environment, they were able to come home or to another place that provided that safety and break from that. With internet, that cyberbullying doesn't end. Children are always exposed to the internet, they have access to it, so they can constantly be berated on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, any number of resources or sources where this bullying continues, and it doesn't give the child a chance to get away from it and to have a break from it. So it's important as an adult to have those conversations with your child about what that looks like, what it feels like. What do you do if you're being bullied? It's the same thing at school and at the internet, that you need to be able to talk to a parent, a trusted adult, to talk to your SRO and look at some ways that you can work through and resolve this. We recognize that cyberbullying, because its continuous nature of it, is hard to get away from and can be a huge stress for children, and really add to their stress and their personal angst and what it is that they are dealing with socially and emotionally. So again, be aware of that, have those conversations with your child, let them know that there are tools to do that. That includes, again, parents being able to block some of those sites, to limit what your child has access to, and to let them know the tools that they can use to move forward and try and resolve these situations.